Go.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 12 of No Vinyl Bell. What a crazy night it was. But before we talk about that, we're going to talk about Impact Wrestling
Yes.
news.
So, I have 2 weeks worth of Impact Wrestling tapings to discuss. First week, we'll get into it right now. So, we had some Digital Media Championship scruff, and we needed a new number one contender, which we do need another new number one contender, but I'll get into that later. So, this number one contender, it is John Schuyler versus Chelsea Green. John Schuyler steals the number one contender spot away from Chelsea Green. He cheated to win, had the feet on the rope. Now, normally I don't talk a lot about the BTI stuff, but this one was kind of important. There was a six-man tag team match going on between Rich Swann, Willie Mack, and Sam Beal versus Brian Myers and the Learning Tree. And Sam Beal actually got the win over Brian Myers. And we'll get into those two as well. Next up, we had a number one contenders match for the X Division Championship. I believe it was a triple threat, which involved Steve Macklin and another participant. But either way, Laredo Kid is now the new number one contender for the X Division title, and he will take on Trey Miguel at Turning Point. Next up, we have Eric Young beating a local talent. That's, not that much to talk about there. Decay want a rematch at Turning Point, and they will actually get it at Turning Point. So, then we have Bullet Club interfering in the match between the Good Brothers and Finjuice. Johnny Swinger wants his own casino in Las Vegas because he doesn't have a casino license to run Swinger's Palace. So, next up we have Mickie James retaining the Knockouts title against Madison Rayne. But after the match, Mercedes Martinez comes down to challenge Mickie James for the Knockouts title at Turning Point because, if you remember, Mercedes Martinez won the Knockouts Knockdown tournament, which basically made her the number one contender for Mickie James at some point down the line. And Mercedes Martinez cashed in on her opportunity. She's challenging Mickie James at Turning Point. Next up, we have Chris Sabin beat Madman Fulton with a roll-up. So, yep, and then here we go. Jordan Grace defends the Digital Media Championship on Impact Plus against John Schuyler. And, we're kind of fast-forwarding a little bit, but Jordan Grace did end up retaining. So, but the main event of the night for this week of tapings, W. Morrissey, Minoru Suzuki, and Moose defeated Josh Alexander, Matt Cardona, and Eddie Edwards. Now we go into the next week of Impact Wrestling tapings. We have the match, like I said, between Jordan Grace and John Schuyler. Obviously, Jordan Grace retained. Next up, we get into the match, the action, and BTI was Savannah Evans and Rachel Ellering. Savannah Evans won, so... but here we go with the opening contest for this week of Impact. Bullet Club defeated Finjuice to become the new number one contenders for the Impact Tag Team titles at Turning Point. Next up, we have Brian Myers. He wants Sam Beal one-on-one. No Rich Swann, no Willie Mack, no VSK, no Zicky Dice. Just Brian Myers and Sam Beal one-on-one. Next up, we have Minoru Suzuki defeating Caleb with a K. That should come as no surprise. Then we have a number one contenders match between the Undead Bridesmaids of Brandy Lauren and Kimberly versus Havoc and Rosemary of Decay. Decay defeat the Undead Bridesmaids to become the new number one contenders for the Knockouts Tag Team titles at Turning Point. And then, so basically this taping of Impact was just a bunch of matches made for Turning Point on November 20th. So, speaking of which, we have Rhino and Heath versus BBD at Turning Point. So, also, it was just a bunch of matches being made for next week before Turning Point, one of which being the Inspiration versus the Undead Bridesmaids. Next up, we get into some knockouts action. Mercedes Martinez defeated Madison Rayne. So, also next week, Steve Macklin versus Laredo Kid. And if Steve Macklin beats Laredo Kid next week, it turns into a triple threat match at Turning Point for the X Division Championship. So that's a pretty big. Those are some pretty big implications for Steve Macklin, and something tells me that Steve Macklin will remain undefeated and never pinned. So it might be a triple threat match at Turning Point. We don't know. But next up we have Rohit Raju defeating Rocky Romero. And here's the kicker for the new number one contender match to determine for the Digital Media Championship. We have a fatal four-way between Chelsea Green, Alicia Edwards, Matthew Raywalt, and Jake Something to determine a new number one contender for the Digital Media Championship. That will take place on this coming Tuesday on Impact Plus, so make sure if you have Impact Plus, keep your eyes peeled for that. Next week we're going to have a Deonna Purrazzo sit-down interview, as well as, this is a big one, Minoru Suzuki versus Josh Alexander. That should be an amazing match next week. But also we have the main event for this week. It is a triple threat match between Eddie Edwards, W. Morrissey, and Matt Cardona to determine who will face Moose at Turning Point for the Impact World Championship, and it is Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards will go on to Turning Point to face Moose for the Impact World Championship. I mean, it only makes sense because Eddie Edwards, he almost got his career ended by Moose. So, what better way to get redemption than by facing Moose at Turning Point for the Impact World Championship? Maybe he'll win it, maybe he won't, but either way, this is a good way for Eddie Edwards to get his revenge on Moose for nearly ending his career. And for all the times that he's put his hands on his wife.
Right.
I mean, Moose has a weird way of getting to the top in the pro wrestling business. I mean, after all, he called his shot right after Josh Alexander won the Impact World Championship. So while his wife and his son were still in the ring. So, not to mention, Moose had to cross a lot of people to get to the Impact World Championship, but he's here now. He's the Impact World Champion, and he's going to wreak some havoc. He's definitely going to wreak some havoc as the World Champion.
Yeah, definitely great talk there, Impact-wise. Usually, we do talk about Dynamite and Rampage afterwards, but we're kind of going to skip the Rampage. Bigger. This is bigger. This is the main event. This is Full Gear. Yes, we know it happened Saturday. As we are recording on a Sunday, we will premiere this on a Wednesday at 5 p.m. We will do Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Going forward, just to be a little bit more consistent with things. But
we do apologize for all of the inconveniences with our timing schedule. We're just very busy men. Please be patient with us. We will try to get you No Final Bell on a consistent schedule.
Right. But the beginning of the match, it was an interesting intro for Darby Allin going into the match. Oh, also MGF, as well, as he was kind of dressed up as being kind of like Macho Man Randy Savage in a way, especially with those trunks and whatnot, in the attire he had. But Darby Allin was in the car replicating the car crash that he was involved with with his uncle, which I found very interesting and odd that happened. But I tell you what, he was fired up. His face paint was on point.
Yeah,
but he just fell a little short in that match. It was a great back and forth contest between MJF and Darby Allin.
MJF beat Darby Allin with a side headlock takeover, which during the introduction, MJF wanted Justin Roberts to say that he can beat Darby Allin either in or with a side headlock takeover, and he did just that. So, MJF further proving that he is better than you, and you know it.
Yeah, exactly. And he also proved that with using the Dynamite Dozen ring, which he had in his trunks, with the distraction from trying to remember. It was
The distraction from Sean Spears.
Yes, yeah. Sean Spears and
Or
Wardlow. Actually, I think it was, if I remember correctly, I think it was from. Well, it was definitely from the Pinnacle. The Pinnacle got the distraction there as MJF was able to use the Dynamite Dozen ring on Darby Allin to get the victory. I will say it does help MJF moving forward, but it kind of derails Darby a little bit. Don't get me wrong, Darby is a hell of a competitor. Meeting him was an amazing thing to have happen. But I tell you what, MJF, screw you. Yeah, I guess you really got, deep and dark underneath Darby. You broke him mentally, I guess. I mean, you legit broke him mentally, and you probably broke him physically. Not saying that maybe these two men are done with each other.
Oh,
but
they're far from done. I can guarantee you that.
But I really do think that there's going to be other matches going forward between these two men. But right as of right now, MJF gets the one up on Darby Allin and proves that he just might be the future of AEW in some odd way. The future is definitely bright for both Darby Allin and MJF, but for right now, it looks a little bit brighter for MJF than Darby Allin. We go on to our second match. Lucha Brothers retain, but because of controversy.
Due to controversy, Cash Wheeler had the Lucha mask on, but Rick Knox could not tell. And Dax Harwood was the legal man. So you can definitely guarantee there's going to be a rematch for the AEW World Tag Team title somewhere in the future.
See, what my plan... What I thought, and I knew I said this before, I really did think that it was going to be at Full Gear that, both the tag team titles, both the AAA and the AEW World Tag Team titles would be on the line. I really do think that's still going to be the case, but now it's going to be probably on a random Dynamite. I really do think that those two teams are going to go up against each other. FTR is going to be like, hey, I wasn't the legal man. I got pinned, but I wasn't the legal man.
Toei was even trying to explain that to Rick Knox, but Rick Knox was like, well, match is over. FTR is your tag team champion still.
So, I will say, Lucha Brothers, yes, they're the tag team champs for right now. But I really do think that there's going to be a match with, between them again on Dynamite, if not on Rampage. And I'm really hoping that both the AAA and the AEW tag team titles are going to be on the line. Because it makes the most sense. These two teams have had a bunch of chemistry and a bunch of matches against each other as of late. And I really do think that the Lucha Brothers and FTR put on one hell of a match.
Oh, absolutely.
They wind up, that's tag team wrestling at its finest right there between FTR and the Lucha Brothers. The way that it finished was a little odd with both Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler putting on the masks to kind of showcase, Rick Knox doesn't even know who the hell is the legal man. But in that situation, it's so hard to do, to tell who it is. Yes, you should know because one has hair and one doesn't have hair under the mask. But in that sense, Rick can only do as much as he can in that situation, and he did the best thing and still pinned a 1-2-3. Lucha Brothers are still your tag team champions, but there will be another match, if not the feud going on between FTR and the Lucha Brothers. I don't know for how long, but for right now, I really do think that these two tag teams are going to meet again. And who knows what kind of match it will be. I better hope it's going to be a good one. Good, definitely like a 60-minute time limit, but it being a very lengthy type of great match for the AEW tag team titles. Something where they go up to Tony Khan and be like, hey, I wasn't the legal man. I got pinned in there, but I wasn't the legal man. And Tony's like, alright, well, I can clearly tell that you weren't the legal man in there. So you know what? You two are going to have a rematch and you're going to do it for the AEW World Tag Team titles. But only if you put those AAA Tag Team titles on the line as well. So I think it's going to be something like that, where the winner is going to be dual champions of Lucha Libre, AAA, as well as AEW. So moving forward, Bryan Danielson, please, I definitely say that Jon Moxley definitely did the right thing. It just sucks because this match was definitely going to be Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
It probably still would have been Bryan Danielson, if not Jon Moxley, going on. But we wish you the best, Jon Moxley. We hope you really come out of this better, stronger, and a better person overall after all this, going to rehab. You did the right thing. You did it for your family. You did it for your daughter. Please, just make sure, please, just know that you have a family out there that cares for you.
Yeah.
I know, the demons are going to be out there, and I know it's going to be tough being on the road, being away from family. But just know that you're not having a big, heavy work schedule as much as like WWE or other promotions are. So you can still have that quality family time. Yes, I know you would work on, Wednesday, Friday, and also, a Saturday or Sunday here and there. But just know that you do have family out there and you have fans out there that care for you, Jon Moxley. So come out here, do it for the fans, do it for the family. Come out a better man. Don't act like a tough guy. Just act like a family man.
Yeah.
Please.
Definitely.
But, again, Miro was Jon Moxley's replacement. He did beat Orange Cassidy to get to the finals. Bryan Danielson also was in the finals. And Bryan Danielson did beat Miro to face the AEW World Champion at a future date. And that World Champion, we will talk a little bit later. We will not spoil it right now. But Bryan Danielson is now your new number one contender, as it rightfully should be. But I will say that I think that don't get me wrong, Bryan Danielson and Miro put on one hell of a great match at Full Gear. But you know what would have even tore down the house even more? If it was Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
The match we always want to see, and I think the fans are owed that match sometime down the line between Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. And honestly, Tony Khan would be too damn stupid to not have that be a match eventually happening. And I think it's going to happen once Jon Moxley comes back from rehab. I'm saying that match is going to be owed to the fans, that they're going to see Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. And it sucks that it wasn't at a pay-per-view, but don't be shocked if it eventually leads into a pay-per-view match or something like that, or even a Dynamite match, because those men have met each other in a wrestling ring before. But let me tell you something, there's a big difference between sports entertainment and pro wrestling, and I would like to see them face off in a pro wrestling match.
Absolutely. They will tear the house down.
Oh, hell yeah, they will. What I found a little bit interesting, too, I kind of moved this one up before, the last match. Team Taz the whole night was up in the skybox scouting talent the whole night. What the hell do we think that means?
They're looking to recruit somebody. They are definitely looking to recruit somebody. But who will they recruit? That's a good question.
I don't know. They were kind of watching over two matches in particular. So I'm very eager to know who of those two matches was he really putting notes on. Of course, I think it'll eventually lead to like Dynamite Team Taz be like, we need some new guys around here, type of thing. And then somehow like tries to talk to either one of the, individuals that were in those two matches where they showed Team Taz up there. So it's probably going to lead to something like that. They are scouting somebody new, because right now Team Taz is only Hook,
Hobbs
and
Starks.
And Starks. It kind of sucks that, Brian Cage is kind of getting pushed away to the wayside
Yeah.
of everything that's going on. I'm really hoping that AEW can do the right thing to eventually get him going more in the promotion. Or if you're Brian Cage, you'd be like, well, I might as well just go back to Impact Wrestling, which might be
Yeah.
the better move for him right now. But Team Taz is scouting. We don't know who it could be. We'll find out, as well as you guys finding out. Because right now, I have no idea who they're going to scout out. They tried scouting out Christian Cage, that didn't work. They tried scouting
Out Darby Allin, that didn't
other
work.
people, and it didn't work. So honestly, I really do think there will be somebody that they scout that'll be like, you know what, yes, I will join you guys.
Maybe it'll be a fresh new signing that we don't know about.
That would be cool too. Of course, we'll talk about a fresh new signing a little bit later, which will honestly be a big shock.
Yeah.
It might just shock you because I know it shocked me and Marty, or Marty and I. But we will talk about a match that was a great match, though. Jurassic Express and Christian Cage beat the Elite, which honestly I was quite shocked about. I really did think that the Elite and the Lucha Brothers, or not the Lucha Brothers, but the Young Bucks and Adam Cole, I really did think that they were going to...
The Super Click.
I really did think that they were going to beat the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage, but the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage come out as the victors. There was a lot of high spots. There was a crazy little dive into the crowd that even made Jungle Boy say, holy shit. Because, let me tell you something. I was really hoping, and I know this is probably going to be bad for Christian Cage's health, I was really half expecting there to probably being a table or something like that, padding, where I was really expecting him to freaking spear the living crap out of one of the Young Bucks into the little area there, because that would have been one hell of a crazy spot, chanting AEW or holy shit type of thing. I was half expecting there being that kind of moment, but we didn't get it. But we did get a lot of great matches there.
The finish was just freaking insane. Jungle Boy hit a concerto on Matt Jackson to finish the match.
Yeah, that was a little crazy. I really did think that was going to be Christian Cage doing it because
Christian Cage wanted to do it.
2 weeks ago on Dynamite, he did do the concerto on one of the Young Bucks. I think he did it on Nick Jackson. But this time, it was Jungle Boy doing it to Matt Jackson, which was interesting. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about the Young Bucks a little bit later on. What we think about what could happen with that, of course. But as of right now, yes, the Super Elite did lose.
Super Click
did lose. Jurassic Express and Christian Cage get that momentum going forward. I don't know what that means for their little group, going forward.
Hey, but they're still elite.
Yeah, they are. But let me tell you something. It's great to see Christian Cage back in the fold with AEW. I really hope that he focuses more on the AEW aspect of things. I know the relationship between Impact and AEW is over with, and he has no other choice to be with AEW. But damn it, you better focus on AEW. There's 2 titles for you out there that you can go after. The AEW World Title and the TNT Championship. Yeah. So please, for the love of God, Christian Cage, I would love to see you win the AEW Championship or win a TNT title. You have one more, of those world title reigns in you. I know you do. If not, a world tag team title reign at some point. But going forward, 2 interesting people did go up against the, team up, which I kind of figured it was going to happen because, you saw, Pac saving Cody, and you saw Andrade with Malachi. Well, for one night only, you got to see that, as Cody Rhodes and Pac beat Andrade El Idolo and Malachi Black. But after the match, Cash Wheeler comes out to beat down on Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
What do we think that means? Well, I would assume that probably Cash Wheeler wants a match against Cody Rhodes.
Well, it also plays off of the whole thing from many, many years ago on BTE, where Cody basically said F the Revival. So This is definitely all culminating to years and years of pent up frustration from FTR that basically is, you know, just them getting back at Cody for saying F the revival.
So I'm very curious of, I would assume that it's going to be FTR, but I just want to know who's Cody going to team up with in a situation to go up against FTR if that's going to be the case going forward. Because that's
Dustin?
I don't know. It might not be Dustin. It's definitely not going to be Pac because Pac says,
Probably
after
Lee Johnson then.
probably Lee Johnson. It makes the most sense because he's teamed up with Lee Johnson before. So honestly, I think who knows? Maybe on Dynamite this week you're gonna see Lee Johnson and Cody Rhodes against FTR. Makes the most sense. Tony Khan did say he was gonna reveal more matches. I don't know what those matches are. I'm just assuming that maybe you can see Lee Johnson and Cody Rhodes going up against FTR. But I will know in the future that Cody Rhodes and FTR are going to be something that's going to be looked at going forward. And I guess I'm all for it. And Cody Rhodes still gets a lot of the boos from the crowd and stuff like that. But damn it, can he still put on some great matches? And I'm glad it's not a distraction to him anymore. He's just embracing it. And he's doing a damn
But
good
how
job at
long
it.
can you embrace it before you have to take some sort of action?
I know. I really did think that there was going to be some sort of action. And I did make this point to Marty. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a good amount of time for a while there that he was wearing white trunks. Now he's wearing dark trunks. I don't know what that means for him going forward. Is he trying to act like he's like the anti-hero? He knows he's getting booed, but still trying to be, you know, the savior.
Don't know.
There, I don't know what the heck that means, but all I know is he's wearing black trunks, and that's gotta replicate something going forward. You know, I think there's gonna be a turn, but I just don't know when the right moment will be. I really did think that it was gonna be at Full Gear. Thought he was gonna turn on Pac in some way, but it didn't happen at all. Alright, so going forward, Britt Baker does retain against Tay Conti with the roll up. I just didn't like that ending at all in that match.
It kind of made Ty
This was
and
already
Britt look weak.
this is already a match that basically got thrown together
Yeah.
because you had the TBS title tournament. That's going to be, you're gonna have probably a new champion before, January, or unless they can
Probably.
somehow. I mean, you have a couple more months before you. Actually, less than a couple months before the move from TNT to TBS, and clearly you're going to have a new TBS champion before you head on to TBS for Dynamite and Rampage.
But it does make you wonder what they're gonna do to the TNT Championship. Are they still gonna have that, or are they? Well, I mean, you can still have the TNT Championship, but at the same time, it's like they're not on TNT anymore. So what do you call it? But at that point, the AEW Television Championship. I mean, it practically is a glorified television championship, anyways. So,
I mean, I'm sure they'll figure that out. They might still call it the TNT title because Turner does own TBS. They own Turner.
Yes.
TBS.
Yeah, they own TBS and TNT. I don't know.
I think they own True TV as well too. I think that's a Turner type of thing. I can't remember.
I don't know much about Turner. I just know about TNT and TBS.
But I do know that I think they're gonna keep the TNT title, or if not change it, who knows. But I really do think that, for the sense that this was just like a match that was thrown together. I mean, Ty Conti had some moments there where I thought, oh, who knows? It'd be nice to see her win the championship. It would be a nice moment for her. But every single time, Britt Baker does have a point. Every time she gets close, she just keeps on falling short. Well, in this instant, she fell short again. But let me tell you something. That match was all right. If I gave it, anything out of 5 stars, maybe a 3. I hate to say it. Give it about middle of the pack there. And, it was a good back and forth match, but I just didn't like the whole ending with the roll up there. I just think
Yeah,
that you should have
it
tapped
really
her.
made both
I think
women
you
look
should have
weak.
tapped her out with the lockjaw. It did make both of them weak. At this point, with now another women's title coming around, I hate to say it, I don't think the AEW women's world title is gonna be that
Yeah.
top title like it used to be. I hate to say it.
Well, that's the thing too. With the TBS championship coming into the fray, now you have women that can challenge for 2 titles.
Yeah.
So it really brings more credibility to the women's division.
And there was a lot of women that were released from WWE that I really do see coming into the fold for AEW. And
Who
now
knows?
that you
Maybe-
have
maybe
now that you
Taya
have
Valkyrie
two
could-
now that you have 2 titles,
Yeah.
you can sign quite a lot more women to wrestle for those championships.
Maybe Taya Valkyrie could win the TBS championship potentially. Maybe Jessie Kamea, formerly of the Robert Stone brand. Like Jason said, there's a lot of released talent in the released female talent that could vie potentially for the TBS championship or go elsewhere. And we talked about that a lot on the podcast. It's like, we get it. Not everybody can go to AEW.
Right.
But at the same time, Tony Khan is still looking at, like, a lot of these releases, and he's like, hey, maybe I could sign some of these people. So,
He was even recruiting people to come.
Yes. He already... I'm sure he was the one to reach out to the signing for from Full Gear. But then again, maybe it was that signing that reached out to AEW and was like, hey, are you guys hiring? Because I just lost my job.
Of course, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But going forward, CM Punk, Eddie Kingston.
What a freaking
match. Man, what a way to start the match, too.
Yeah. Before the bell, Eddie Kingston, spinning back fist, rocked CM Punk and knocked him down, actually, too. CM Punk was down for a good while.
I tell you what, I feel bad for that, for...
Remsburg, man.
For Bryce Remsburg.
Yeah. Remsburg already takes a lot of crap.
Trying to hold him back, and Eddie Kingston, right in the middle where the ref was, just freaking stiff back fist. Stiff back fist.
Yes, definitely.
CM Punk.
It was definitely stiff.
It literally had him...
It literally rocked him, knocked him to the ground. And CM Punk, he looked right at Eddie Kingston, gave him the big old middle finger, and said, ring the fucking bell to Remsburg. So they were ready to get it on.
It was a match that needed to happen, and I tell you what, it was a great fight feel.
Yes.
That was not a wrestling match.
It was a fight.
It was a fight.
That was a fight. That was
Hence
not a
why
match.
CM Punk was wearing, like, MMA-style shorts.
Yeah.
He knew he was not going in there
as
a wrestling match.
Fight.
He was going in there to fight.
Yes.
Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston was in there to fight CM Punk. Hence why he had his,
his hands wrapped. Yeah.
So did CM Punk. They were ready for that big fight feel. And let me tell you something. Those two men had a hell of a match.
Yes.
I would give that a freaking, 6 out of 5 any freaking day. That was just a hell of a great match between each other.
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston got a lot of great redemption after that sloppy match against Miro's last pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This was one that he definitely needed to prove himself in. But after the match, CM Punk shows his hand. He's like, you know what? You earned my respect, son. And you know what happens? Eddie Kingston does not shake his hand. Goes out of the ring, pushes the camera out of the way. All I know, Eddie, is you already knew that you were not going to go in there and win. I hate to say it. CM Punk is just way too good to,
Not only that, I kind of think Eddie Kingston was digging himself into a hole that he couldn't get out of, because CM Punk's trained in MMA. So you had to expect that, like, CM Punk was going to go in there and
I will say this
some,
now.
like...
CM Punk did get Eddie Kingston back with something stiff, and it was that damn knee to his face.
Yes, definitely.
It rocked him for a good while.
Yeah.
So,
it's a feud
payback's a bitch, Eddie. Yeah. Payback's a bitch.
Feud that is... built up for 16 years.
You want to get him with that freaking spinning back fist. He'll get you with that knee. And trust me, you don't want to get attacked by that stiff knee because you'll regret it afterwards.
Yeah.
And trust me, you did regret it afterwards because you lost.
Right.
You can be as sore of a loser as you want to.
He was definitely embarrassed.
Because you lost to somebody that you knew you should have never faced in the frickin' first place.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. It led to a match. I'm glad they finally got that out of their system after all these years. Eddie Kingston wanted to face CM Punk. CM Punk was just avoiding him. Avoiding him.
Because CM Punk called Eddie Kingston fat, lazy, and unsafe, so he did not
Well,
want to
sometimes
work with...
I hate to say it, I guess he kind of has a point. Of course, I don't know how much of he was unsafe back 16 years ago, but now, he's a great wrestler. Give him good opponents, he'll produce.
Yeah.
But I will say, he's not really the best singles kind of guy in the world. I'm really hoping that once Jon Moxley comes back, that him and Eddie Kingston can just tear it up in the tag team division. But as of right now, Eddie Kingston...
Yeah, because they were great.
Be as much of a sourpuss as you want. Just accept the fact that you lost. And you lost for a good cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
But going forward, Inner Circle and American Top Team. Man, that was a great match between each other. Showing Minneapolis love. Especially with the Purple Rain.
Yeah.
The Purple Rain sign.
Yep.
The hockey sticks, the footballs. I just thought that match just excelled the way that I thought it was going to. And man, Dan Lambert just looked like a big old blue piece of shit.
Yep.
In that match.
He was a blue fat-faced dipshit.
And I will say, Junior Dos Santos actually looked a lot better in that match than he did the first time.
He's definitely been training more.
Yes,
which is a good thing. Especially if you want to make a career out of pro wrestling.
And I'm sure that's probably what he wants to do eventually, which I'm saying I'm all for it. But let me tell you something. Dan Orlovsky probably shouldn't be in the wrestling ring ever again. That was just pretty sloppy of him.
Yeah, he did look pretty sloppy in there.
I mean, there were some moments like Chris Jericho trying to wait for Junior Dos Santos to
Junior Dos Santos missed his cue.
Mrs. Q, but you know what? It all worked out for the best.
He was a little late.
He's not used to the game of how to do all that stuff, so Chris Jericho was doing a good job with being patient and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For him, so he did the right thing. Inner Circle does get the win there.
Chris Jericho pinned Dan Lambert.
Yes, he pinned Dan Lambert
after stapling his ball bag.
He looked up the crowd because it's been 16 long years.
What a tribute for Eddie.
16 long years.
He has missed every day.
He has missed every day.
Absolutely missed every day.
It's not been the same ever since he's been gone. I was just telling that to
Jason before we started the podcast. I don't think anybody since Brody Lee has left an indelible impact on the pro wrestling business after he passed away than Eddie Guerrero.
I will agree with that. As Chris Jericho, who is not usually typically one that would go off the top rope and do any moves.
But he did it for Eddie.
But this one instance, he was up there.
Did the frog
splash. Hit.
For Eddie. Viva la raza, baby.
Yes. Viva la raza. Beat him with the frog splash. 1, 2, 3. Inner Circle gets the win over American Top Team. Now, the true question is, are they really done with American Top Team afterwards?
I think so.
I really do think so because, they beat him. They got out of their system. I don't know what's really next for Inner Circle because Inner Circle always seems like there's not really enough factions out there to go up against them. They've had Pinnacle. They've had American Top Team. There's the Elite.
They have yet to go up against Team Taz. But then again, there's not enough members of Team Taz to go up against all members of Inner Circle. But that's where the recruiting comes in, yes.
I wonder, you know what? That's a good point. I wonder if Team Taz is recruiting more men so they can go up against the Inner Circle.
Potentially, yeah.
because I didn't even think about that. Because right now, yes, you do have 3. I wonder when Hook is eventually gonna, there. I would assume he's old enough to get into the wrestling ring and possibly get signed for like a one match type of deal. But honestly, I really do think that they're recruiting more people, so then they can have, a 5-on-5 type of style match. Who knows? It could be very well against, the Inner Circle or somebody along that line. But I guess time will tell. We'll find out. We will find out. But going forward, man, the signing of the lifetime.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for ROH kind of closing its doors temporarily, not for good, but temporarily.
Yeah, temporarily.
But we don't know. Could very well be for good. But as of right now, it's temporarily because they just didn't make enough profit because of COVID.
Yep.
Man. Black Machismo.
Yes.
Jay Lethal is all elite, baby.
Yep.
All elite. And you know what he wants? He wants that
the
open
TNT championship. And
he wants
has challenged Sami Guevara.
Open challenge.
The match is official this Wednesday.
Yes.
Jay Lethal versus Sami Guevara.
Tonight.
Yes.
It's going to be Jay Lethal versus Sami Guevara for the TNT championship in an open challenge.
Not only that, but a big match made for tonight. Tomohiro Ishii, the Stone Pitbull, will team up with Orange Cassidy to take on, I believe, the Acclaimed. No. The Acclaimed going up against,
I think it was FTR or something. No, maybe not FTR.
Either way, Tomohiro Ishii teaming with Orange Cassidy. That's huge. The Stone Pitbull has arrived in the U.S. But not to mention, it's not just Ishii that is in the U.S. Okada is also in the U.S. But we don't know when he will arrive in the U.S.
Right.
Or at least when he will arrive on Dynamite. He's already in the U.S., but we have no idea when he's going to make his way to Dynamite. Or even, better yet, we don't know if he's going to go to Impact. Because Impact also has that Forbidden Door open policy with New Japan. But it almost makes you wonder, and it kind of makes you question, who has the bigger working relationship? Is it Impact with New Japan, or is it AEW? Because if you think about it, Impact was the only ones that brought in Switchblade Jay White, the leader of the Bullet Club. AEW, the only member of Bullet Club that they had, or well, I should say the only 2 members of Bullet Club that they had were Kenta and Hikuleo. So,
probably right now I want to say Impact because they're still working a lot with those.
Well, not to mention, there's already like 3 members of Bullet Club. I mean, unless you don't really consider Chris Bay to be like actually in Bullet Club. Maybe he's just like in an American version of Bullet Club, but not like the actual Bullet Club. But we already have 3 members of Bullet Club in Impact with El Phantasmo, Hikuleo, and Chris Bay.
Right.
So,
true.
Like.
Yeah, the Forbidden Door just opens up wider and wider for both promotions.
And that's what Jay Lethal came to AEW for. He wanted to kick down that Forbidden Door. But at the same time...
he didn't have any other choice to have to go... I mean, it was either back to the place that got him basically his start in Impact or go somewhere new. And honestly, I think it was the time for him to go somewhere new, and I'm glad it's AEW. This is like truly, to my point, like the first actual big promotion that Jay Lethal has ever been in, and it's crazy that it literally took over 20 years to finally get there. But you know what? It's well worth it.
Honestly, though, it makes me wonder, like, because Austin Creed, Xavier Woods, was hinting at potentially reforming Lethal Consequences in WWE. So, like there was that slight hesitate, and there was like that slight bit of teasing that like maybe Jay Lethal could go to WWE, but it's like I don't know.
I just don't think that would have worked out. It might have, but the thing is, would would Kofi really go back on his own away from Xavier Woods? Xavier
Same
Woods,
with Big E.
like right now, Xavier Woods is King. Xavier Woods.
It's King Woods.
Is King Woods.
So.
Yes, he'll probably kind of do his own thing. Don't get me wrong, but like Kofi, ever since his WWE run has really gone down. Hence why he's
WWE title
teaming
run.
back.
Yeah.
Hence why he's teaming back up with Xavier Woods, and hence why I'm glad that Big E is doing his own thing. He's a WWE champion and stuff like that.
He deserves to be the WWE champion.
But let me tell you something: if Jay Lethal was to go to WWE, they just wouldn't know how to use him.
Yeah.
Because I hate to say it, Jay Lethal. Oh yeah, you know what? I can't really say that because Jay Lethal has had that sports entertainment type of style.
Well, yeah.
Before
after
with
all,
Impact when he was a Black Machismo.
But
let me tell you something.
He definitely has some charisma.
He also has the pro wrestling aspect of Jay Lethal, and that was in ROH.
And that's not what WWE is looking for. So here's the thing: if Jay Lethal were to go to WWE, I would have told WWE, okay, don't look at anything he's done in Ring of Honor. If you're gonna look at anything for Jay Lethal, look at all the stuff he did in TNA at the time.
Right.
Especially the woo-off that he had with Ric Flair.
Oh my God.
Because that proves that he has charisma and he can, given the right kind of like pro. That was completely improvised, by the way. So, because Jay Lethal had no script to work with, he didn't even know what he was going out there to cut a promo on. He just started doing an impression of Ric Flair, and Ric Flair just started wooing, and Jay Lethal started wooing, and it turned into a woo-off.
Now, I will say that Jay Lethal, if anything, is probably one of the many wrestlers out there that can do either or and excel at it really, really well.
Yeah.
He is that damn good of a individual, of an entertainer as a performer too.
Yes.
So I'm glad he's in AEW, didn't go back to Impact. Even though
I feel it's
kind of interesting if he was to go to Impact, would he be just Jay Lethal or would he be back as the Black Machismo? That's why I want to know right there.
I personally would not have had him back as the Black Machismo because, Impact. Well, not only that, he has moved on from the Black Machismo, and even then, I'm sure Impact has moved on. I'm sure they would have him recreate the moment or whatever, recreate a promo or something as Black Machismo.
What I did find interesting is that he does kind of have his old Impact type of theme for AEW, which I found interesting. But Jay Lethal is all elite for right now. I don't know if he's just saying that just to say that. I don't know if he's actually signed it all elite. But all I know is right now he's going to kick ass, take names, and I'm glad that he is finally stepping into something new, and it's about time that you're in a pro wrestling company that is really branching out right now, Jay Lethal.
It's just sad, though, with Ring of Honor because, Jay Lethal could have been a very great, pure, ROH pure champion because I'm pretty sure he had, that pure wrestling, credential.
Right.
And even then, the rules for the pure wrestling championship were very, interesting to say the least because you were only I know about some of the rules, you were only allowed so many rope breaks, you were only allowed so many kickouts and whatnot. There were a lot of so basically it the Ring of Honor pure division and the pure championship was really meant to showcase traditional pro wrestling and actual because it in a way it kind of made it pro wrestling seem like it's amateur wrestling.
Right.
In a way. which was definitely different than anything you would have ever seen for like any championship or even just in general.
Right.
So,
Well,
and it is sad though because sorry to but yeah, so Jonathan Gresham I believe was the pure champion. Maybe it was somebody different, but either way, now he needs somewhere else to go. He needs to showcase some pure wrestling to some promotion, whether it be New Japan, whether it be AEW, whether it be Impact, whether it be MLW, whether it be NWA. He just needs to go somewhere and showcase some pure wrestling.
right. So, going forward, we go on to the main event of Full Gear, where finally,
Yes.
finally, Adam Hangman Page does something in his career that I didn't think, should have came a lot sooner than it did.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Adam Hangman Page beats Kenny Omega
To become the new
to
AEW
become the
World
new
Champion.
AEW World Heavyweight Champion, and gets a nod from Matt Jackson and the Young Bucks itself, Nick and Matt Jackson, which I find interesting. Now the question can be, are the Young Bucks finally changing their ways? Are they going to split away from Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks? Are the Elite themselves no more? That's why I want to know.
Or if they're going to still be a thing, will they bring Hangman back?
I don't know. That's always a tough one. Very well could just branch off and do their own type of things. I don't know if it's, going to be Adam Hangman Page with the Young Bucks and then Kenny kind of just splits off and does his own thing or what. We'll definitely find out in the coming weeks as we move forward away from Full Gear. It was one hell of a pay-per-view.
Yes.
Yes, there were some, matches here and there that were kind of questionable, but let me tell you something. Overall, it was probably the best pay-per-view that AEW has put on, and I know I said that about the AEW pay-per-views, every single one I've watched. But let me tell you something. It is definitely worth the $50 to pay for it. You get what you pay for, and
absolutely,
they have not disappointed with anything they have put on pay-per-view wise. And I'm glad that Kenny Omega finally dropped the title to Adam Hangman Page. It was the right move going forward. And I'm glad he did it with a buckshot lariat right there. And also, the Dark Order comes out to celebrate with him in the ring. Offered a beer. He tosses it out of the ring. He's like, beer no more. Just wants to hug them up. Hug with, give them a hug in the ring. So I don't know if that means he's just not going to do that type of stuff anymore. He might still be that kind of guy to do it. But
cowboy shit no more.
We got cowboy shit. But let me tell you something. We got champion shit now.
Yes.
And he went out there and proved that he's cowboy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he finally got it there and done right then and there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Where on Dynamite, he's going to be there in his hometown, or Norfolk, Virginia.
Yep.
And he's finally going to celebrate with his family. But don't be shocked if we get something where they come out, celebrate, and then the new opponent comes out. I don't know if it means that Bryan Danielson's going to somehow show up and turn heel or something like that. Very well could. He's kind of teased it a little bit here and there. But, have him come out and be like, Hangman, I'm your next challenger. I'm ready to take you on type of thing. So, it's going to lead to something. So, as of right there, we're going to conclude that episode of No Final Bell. Please make sure to follow us on social media. Please also make sure to donate to our cancer fund as we tinkle on cancer for the whole month of November. It's starting to grow in pretty much for us. It's starting to grow in for Brian as well. Make sure to catch Sports Talk Sundays at 9 a.m. Also make sure to catch No Final our out of turn 4 is done for the season. It will be coming back once the NASCAR season and also other um, like IndyCar and stuff like that are back, but it is done for the season as of right now. But please make sure to follow us on social media at Tinkle Sports. Make sure to donate and support that. Also, make sure to watch Sports Talk every Sunday at 9 a.m. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on our channel. Turn the bell notifications on because you will get notified. YouTube is weird about their things.
Algorithm.
Yes. Um, Sometimes you might have to unsubscribe, resubscribe, turn on the bell notifications so then you can get notified very fast about when we post our videos up on YouTube. But as of that, we're going to celebrate the cowboy shit way.